Disingenuous.
Insincere, not genuine.
He was disingenuous in his response.
Peccadillo.
Small sin or fault.
Forgetting to send a thank you note is a minor peccadillo.
Declivity.
A downward slope or incline.
The hikers carefully descended the steep declivity.
Guile.
Clever but dishonest behavior used to deceive others. The con artist used guile to trick people out of their money.
Grating.
Unpleasantly harsh or irritating, especially referring to sounds.
The grating sound of nails on a chalkboard made everyone cringe.
Fracas.
A loud, disruptive fight or disturbance.
A fracas broke out between the two groups of fans after the game.
Impartial.
Treating all sides fairly without bias or favoritism.
The judge remained impartial throughout the trial.
Hedonist.
Someone who believes pleasure is the most important goal in life.
As a hedonist, he spent all his money on luxuries and entertainment.
Ephemeral.
Lasting for a very short time.
The beauty of cherry blossoms is ephemeral, lasting only a few days.
Opprobrium.
Harsh criticism and public shame for disgraceful behavior.
The politician faced opprobrium after the scandal was revealed.
Status quo.
The current situation or state of affairs.
Some people wanted change while others preferred to maintain the status quo.
Render.
To give, provide, or make something become.
The artist will render a sketch of the building.
Discordant.
Clashing or disagreeing, especially in sound or appearance.
The discordant notes from the untuned piano hurt everyone's ears.
Commensurate.
Equal in size, amount, or degree.
His salary was commensurate with his experience and skills.
Scintilla.
A tiny amount or trace of something.
There wasn't even a scintilla of evidence to support the claim.
Pejorative.
Expressing criticism or disapproval.
Using pejorative terms to describe others is disrespectful.
Alienate.
To make someone feel isolated or unwelcome.
His rude behavior alienated his friends.
Politic.
Wise and diplomatic in handling situations.
It was politic of her to avoid taking sides in the argument.
Inherent.
Existing as a natural and permanent part of something.
Risk is inherent in any business venture.
Listless.
Lacking energy or enthusiasm.
The sick child was listless and refused to play.
Glib.
Speaking smoothly but without sincerity.
The salesman gave a glib response to all concerns.
Sentient.
Able to feel and perceive things.
Scientists debate whether plants are sentient beings.
Orthodox. Following traditional beliefs and practices.
She follows an orthodox approach to teaching.
Transgression.
An act that breaks a law or moral rule.
Cheating on the test was a serious transgression.
Sportive.
Playful and light-hearted.
The sportive puppies chased each other around the yard.
Limpid.
Clear and transparent.
The limpid water of the mountain stream sparkled.
Feasible.
Possible to do and likely to succeed. The project seems feasible within our budget.
Empirical.
Based on observation and experience rather than theory.
Scientists gathered empirical data through experiments.
Optimum.
The best or most favorable condition.
This temperature is optimum for plant growth. Boor.
A rude and insensitive person.
He acted like a bore at the formal dinner.
Vacillate. To keep changing one's mind or opinion.
She vacillated between two job offers.
Disparate.
Fundamentally different or distinct.
The twins had disparate personalities despite looking identical.
Corroborate. To confirm or provide evidence for.
The witness could corroborate the suspect's alibi.
Impervious.
Unable to be affected or damaged.
The coating makes the fabric impervious to water.
Craven.
Extremely cowardly.
The craven soldier deserted his post.
Overwrought.
Extremely nervous or agitated. To elaborate.
The overwrought mother paced the waiting room.
Quibble.
To argue about small, unimportant details.
Let's not quibble over minor expenses.
Lassitude.
A state of physical or mental tiredness.
The heat caused a feeling of lassitude.
Prophetic.
Accurately predicting future events.
His prophetic warning about climate change proved true.
Philanthropy.
Actions to help others, especially through donations.
His philanthropy helped build the new hospital.
Halcyon.
Peaceful and happy, idyllically calm.
She remembered her halcyon days of childhood.
Enigma.
Something mysterious and difficult to understand.
The ancient inscription remained an enigma.
E.G.
For example, such as.
I enjoy outdoor activities, e.g., hiking and camping.
Viable.
Able to succeed or survive, practical and workable.
The business plan was viable and attracted many investors. Enhance.
To improve or increase quality, value, or effectiveness.
The new features enhanced the app's usability.
Toady.
Someone who flatters others for personal gain.
The toady constantly praised his boss hoping for a promotion.
Itinerant.
Traveling from place to place, especially for work.
The itinerant musician performed in different cities each week.
Exacerbate.
To make a bad situation worse.
The harsh words only exacerbated the conflict.
Pragmatic.
Focused on practical results rather than theories.
She took a pragmatic approach to solving the problem.
Accretion.
Gradual growth or increase by adding layers.
The accretion of ice made the roads dangerous.
Delineate.
To describe or outline something precisely.
The contract delineated each party's responsibilities.
Connoisseur.
An expert judge in matters of taste.
He was a connoisseur of fine wines.
Heterogeneous.
Made up of different, unrelated parts.
The class was heterogeneous, with students from various backgrounds.
Disposition.
A person's natural temperament or attitude.
She had a cheerful disposition despite her difficulties.
Bogus.
False or fake, not genuine.
The email was a bogus attempt to steal personal information.
Asperity.
Harshness in tone, manner, or surface. The teacher's asperity made students afraid to ask questions.
Eclectic.
Choosing from various sources or styles.
The restaurant offered an eclectic mix of cuisines.
Dither.
To hesitate or act indecisively.
She dithered about which dress to wear to the party.
Languid.
Lacking energy or vitality, moving slowly.
The heat made everyone languid and sleepy.
Effrontery.
Bold rudeness or disrespect.
He had the effrontery to lie to her face.
Crafty.
Clever at deceiving others, cunning.
The crafty fox outsmarted the farmer.
Connote. To suggest or imply beyond the literal meaning.
The word home connotes warmth and comfort.
Arbiter. Someone chosen to judge or decide a dispute.
The referee served as an arbiter in the game.
Token.
A symbol, sign, or small amount representing something larger.
She gave him a flower as a token of her gratitude.
Delimit.
To set or mark boundaries.
The fence delimited the property line.
Dyspeptic.
Irritable and grumpy in temperament.
The dyspeptic critic wrote harsh reviews.
Ponderous.
Heavy and awkward, dull and labored.
The book was ponderous and difficult to read.
Mannered.
Having an artificial or affected style.
His mannered speech seemed insincere.
Fawn.
To seek favor through excessive flattery.
The new employee fawned over the boss.
Rend.
To tear or split apart violently.
The explosion rent the building in two.
Harrow.
To cause great distress or torment.
The tragic news harrowed the family.
Propriety.
Proper or polite behavior.
She always behaved with perfect propriety.
Obviate. To prevent or make unnecessary.
The new system obviated the need for paperwork.
Complacent.
willing to please others and comply with their wishes. The complacent assistant always helped with a smile.
Vestige.
A small remaining trace of something that no longer exists.
The ruins are the last vestige of the ancient civilization. Abase.
To lower someone's status or dignity. The harsh criticism abased him in front of his colleagues.
Fractious.
Difficult to control, easily irritated.
The fractious child refused to follow any rules.
Inundate. To overwhelm with large amounts of something.
The office was inundated with job applications.
Facilitate.
To make an action or process easier.
The new software facilitates faster data processing.
Recapitulate.
To briefly summarize the main points.
At the end, she recapitulated the key findings.
Wily. Skilled at using clever tricks to deceive.
The wily salesman convinced them to buy unnecessary items.
Exigent.
Requiring immediate action or attention. The exigent situation demanded a quick response. Misanthrope.
A person who dislikes and avoids other people. The misanthrope lived alone and refused visitors.
Adulterate.
To make something worse by adding inferior substances.
The company adulterated the milk with water.
Magnanimous.
Generous and forgiving, especially toward rivals or less powerful people.
The magnanimous winner shared the prize with others.
Cartography.
The art and science of making maps. Modern cartography relies heavily on satellite data.
Disperse. To spread or scatter in different directions. The crowd dispersed after the concert ended.
Makeshift.
Temporary and of poor quality, improvised.
They built a makeshift shelter from branches.
Convoke.
To call people together for a formal meeting.
The president convoked an emergency session.
Inconsequential.
Not important or significant.
The error was inconsequential and easily fixed.
Virulent.
Extremely harmful or hostile.
The virulent disease spread rapidly through the population.
Endemic.
Naturally occurring in or limited to a specific area.
This plant species is endemic to the Amazon rainforest.
Augment.
To make something greater by adding to it.
Exercise can augment the effects of a healthy diet.
Goad.
To provoke or urge someone to act.
His taunts goaded her into responding.
Secrete.
To produce and release a substance from the body.
The pancreas secretes insulin to regulate blood sugar.
Penchant.
A strong liking or tendency for something. She has a penchant for spicy foods.
Derivative. Copied or adapted from something else, not original.
The movie was derivative of earlier films.
Bulk.
To refuse to do something or move forward.
The horse balked at jumping over the fence.
Propensity. A natural tendency to behave in a particular way. He has a propensity for making quick decisions.
Alacrity.
Eager and cheerful readiness to do something. She accepted the challenge with alacrity.
Mirth.
Joy and laughter. The joke filled the room with mirth.
Deflect.
To change direction or turn aside from a path.
The shield deflected the arrow. Spartan.
Extremely simple, strict and disciplined.
The soldiers lived in Spartan conditions during training.
Preempt.
To take action before others to prevent them from doing something.
The company preempted competitors by patenting the technology first.
Catholic.
Including or accepting many different types, universal. She has Catholic tastes in music, enjoying everything from classical to hip-hop.
Partial. Favoring one side over others, showing bias.
The referee seemed partial to the home team.
Stratum.
A layer or level in a system or society.
The different strata of rock revealed the area's geological history.
Imminent. About to happen very soon.
With dark clouds gathering, rain was imminent.
Hallmark.
A distinctive feature or characteristic.
Attention to detail is a hallmark of good craftsmanship.
Table.
To postpone discussion of something.
The committee tabled the controversial proposal. Articulate.
Able to express thoughts clearly and effectively.
The articulate speaker held everyone's attention.
Apocryphal.
Of doubtful authenticity, likely to be false.
The apocryphal story about the company's founding was often repeated.
Exculpate.
To prove someone is not guilty. The new evidence helped exculpate the accused.
Tortuous.
Full of twists and turns, complicated.
The tortuous mountain road made driving difficult.
Grovel.
To act in a servile or submissive way.
He groveled before his boss, begging to keep his job.
Credibility.
The quality of being trustworthy and believable.
The witness's credibility was questioned during cross-examination. Paucity.
A lack or shortage of something.
There was a paucity of evidence to support the theory.
Contrite.
Feeling genuinely sorry for wrongdoing.
The contrite student apologized for cheating on the test.
Innocuous.
Harmless, not likely to offend or harm.
His innocuous comment was misinterpreted as criticism.
Fatuous.
Foolishly self-satisfied, stupidly complacent.
He made fatuous remarks without realizing how silly he sounded.
Foment.
To stir up or incite trouble.
The protesters tried to foment unrest in the city.
Metamorphosis.
A complete transformation. The caterpillar's metamorphosis into a butterfly was fascinating. Rarefied.
Refined or elevated, exclusive.
The professor moved in rarefied academic circles.
Balloon.
To expand or increase rapidly.
The project costs ballooned out of control.
Dilettante.
Someone who dabbles in an art or field without serious commitment.
He was a dilettante who never mastered any of his hobbies.
Puissance.
Great power or influence.
The puissance of the empire stretched across continents.
Providential.
Lucky, happening as if by divine intervention.
Their providential escape from danger seemed miraculous.
Imperious.
Arrogantly domineering, commanding.
The imperious manager demanded immediate obedience.
Latent.
Present but not visible or active.
The child showed latent artistic talent.
Admonish.
To warn or reprimand gently.
The teacher admonished students to be quiet.
Concur.
To agree or approve. The doctors concurred with the diagnosis.
Exhaustive.
Complete and thorough, covering everything possible.
The detective conducted an exhaustive search of the crime scene. Elegy.
A poem or song of mourning.
The poet wrote an elegy for his departed friend.
Scathing.
Harshly critical, severely damaging.
The critic wrote a scathing review of the play.
Neologism.
A newly created word or expression.
Selfie is a neologism that became widely used.
Finesse.
Skillful handling of a delicate situation.
The negotiator showed great finesse in reaching an agreement.
Diffuse.
To spread out widely, scattered.
The morning light diffused through the fog.
Dormant. Temporarily inactive or sleeping. The volcano had been dormant for centuries.
Log.
To record or keep track of something.
The secretary logged all incoming calls.
Glacial. Extremely cold or slow, unfriendly. The room's glacial temperature made everyone uncomfortable.
Default.
To fail to meet an obligation.
The company defaulted on its loan payments.
Ubiquitous.
Present everywhere at the same time. Cell phones have become ubiquitous in modern life.
Arrogate.
To take or claim something without right.
The dictator arrogated all power to himself.
Distill.
To extract the essential meaning or most important aspects.
The report distilled years of research into a few pages.
Homage.
Public show of respect or honor.
The film paid homage to classic westerns. Harangue. A long, aggressive speech or lecture.
The politician delivered a harangue against his opponents.
Temperance.
Moderation and self-restraint.
The counselor advised temperance in eating and drinking.
Forage.
To search for food or supplies.
The animals forage for berries in the forest.
Lugubrious. Excessively gloomy or mournful. The lugubrious music set a somber mood.
Rococo.
Highly ornate and elaborate in style.
The palace featured Rococo architecture and decoration.
Condone.
To accept or allow something considered wrong.
The teacher refused to condone cheating.
Intelligible.
Clear enough to understand.
His whispered words were barely intelligible.
Console.
To comfort someone who is upset.
She tried to console her crying friend.
Palliate.
To make less severe or intense.
The medicine helped palliate the patient's pain. Pariah.
A person rejected by society.
The scandal turned him into a pariah in the community.
Laconic.
Using few words, brief and to the point.
His laconic response was simply no.
Counterintuitive.
Going against what common sense would suggest.
It seems counterintuitive, but eating fat can help you lose weight.
Partisan.
Strongly supporting one side of an issue or group.
The senator's partisan views prevented any compromise.
Vim. Energy and enthusiasm.
Despite her age, she approached life with vim and vigor. Lackluster.
Lacking energy, brightness, or excitement.
His lackluster performance disappointed the audience.
Assail.
To attack or criticize aggressively. Critics assailed the new policy as ineffective.
Efficacy.
The power to produce desired results.
The efficacy of the new drug was proven in clinical trials.
Underscore.
To emphasize or draw attention to.
The incident underscored the need for better security.
Dovetail.
To fit together perfectly and smoothly.
Their skills dovetailed perfectly for the project.
Laudable.
Deserving praise and admiration.
Her laudable efforts helped many homeless families.
Squalid.
Extremely dirty and unpleasant.
The prisoners were kept in squalid conditions.
Avarice.
Extreme greed for wealth.
His avarice led him to steal from his own family. Reactant. A substance that changes in a chemical reaction.
Water and carbon dioxide are reactants in photosynthesis.
Stint.
A fixed period of work or activity.
She did a brief stint as a waitress.
Predilection.
A natural liking for something.
He had a predilection for spicy foods.
Construe.
To understand or explain the meaning.
His silence was construed as agreement.
Leonize.
To treat someone as very important or famous.
The media lionized the young athlete after his victory.
Dissolution. The process of breaking apart or ending.
The dissolution of their marriage was amicable.
Legerdemain.
Skillful use of hands to deceive, trickery.
The magician's legerdemain amazed the audience.
Ribald.
Referring to crude, offensive humor.
His ribald jokes were inappropriate for the formal dinner.
Deleterious.
Causing harm or damage.
Smoking has deleterious effects on health.
Lurid. Shocking or sensational in a distasteful way.
The newspaper printed lurid details of the crime.
Doctrinaire.
Stubbornly insisting on theory without considering practicality.
His doctrinaire approach to economics ignored real-world conditions.
Requite.
To return or repay, a feeling or action.
She requited his love with equal passion.
Fanatical.
Showing extreme and uncritical enthusiasm.
The fanatical fans waited hours for concert tickets. Aggrandize.
To make something appear greater or grander.
The biography aggrandized the politician's achievements.
Turpitude.
Shameful wickedness or depravity. The moral turpitude of the criminal shocked everyone.
Supplant.
To take the place of something or someone.
Electric cars may eventually supplant gasoline vehicles.
Martinet. A strict disciplinarian who demands absolute obedience.
The new teacher was a martinet who tolerated no talking in class.
Chauvinism.
Excessive pride in one's group and prejudice against others.
Gender chauvinism has no place in modern society.
Glower. To stare angrily or sullenly.
The student glowered at the teacher after failing the test.
Decorous.
Well-behaved and polite.
Her decorous manners impressed everyone at the formal dinner.
Prescient. Able to predict future events.
His prescient warning about the market crash proved accurate.
Ambiguous. Having multiple possible meanings, unclear.
The ambiguous message left everyone confused about its true meaning. Extemporaneous.
Done without preparation or rehearsal.
She gave an excellent extemporaneous speech at the graduation.
Sacrosanct.
Too important or holy to question or change.
Freedom of speech is considered sacrosanct in democratic societies.
Inquest.
Official investigation into cause of death.
The coroner held an inquest to determine how the victim died.
Keen.
Sharp in mind or senses, intellectually alert.
The detective's keen observation skills helped solve the case.
Euphony.
Pleasant sound, especially in speech or music.
The euphony of the poem made it a joy to read aloud.
Bent.
Natural talent or inclination.
She showed an early bent for mathematics.
Indefatigable. Never getting tired, persistent. The indefatigable researcher worked day and night. Rift.
A serious disagreement or break in relations.
The rift between the two friends seemed impossible to heal.
Ingenuous.
Innocent and honest, without deception.
His ingenuous smile showed he meant no harm.
Refractory.
Hard to control, stubbornly resistant.
The refractory student refused to follow any rules.
Nascent.
Just beginning to exist or develop.
The nascent technology showed great promise.
Incarnadine.
Blood red in color.
The sunset turned the clouds incarnadine.
Whimsical. Playfully unpredictable, fanciful.
The artist's whimsical designs delighted children.
Magnate. A powerful person in business or industry. The media magnate owned several major newspapers.
Replete. Completely filled or supplied.
The museum was replete with ancient artifacts.
Implication.
Something suggested but not directly stated.
The implication of his words was clear to everyone.
Variegated.
Having different colors or diverse elements.
The variegated leaves displayed beautiful patterns.
Posit.
To suggest or assume as fact. The scientist posited a new theory about gravity.
Intractable.
Difficult to manage or control.
The intractable problem resisted all solutions.
Enervate.
To drain of energy, weaken.
The hot weather enervated the athletes.
Preternatural.
Beyond what is natural or normal. She had a preternatural ability to remember names.
Aberrant.
Deviating from what is normal.
The aberrant behavior worried his parents.
Collude.
To work together secretly for dishonest purposes. The companies colluded to fix prices.
Implode.
To collapse inward with force.
The old building imploded during demolition.
Disseminate.
To spread information widely.
The news quickly disseminated through social media.
Semantic.
Related to meaning in language.
The semantic difference between the words was subtle.
Aggregate.
To combine into a total, gathered together.
The aggregate score determined the winner.
Trifling.
Unimportant, of little value. He spent hours worrying about trifling matters.
Mores.
Traditional customs and values of a society.
The mores of different cultures can vary greatly. Rejoinder.
A quick, clever reply.
His witty rejoinder drew laughter from the crowd.
Attuned.
Aware of and responsive to something.
The musician was perfectly attuned to the rhythm.
Obsequious.
Excessively eager to please or serve.
The obsequious waiter hovered constantly at the table.
Repertorial.
Related to a collection of prepared material.
The theater's repertorial schedule included classic plays.
Alleviate.
To make less severe or painful.
The medicine helped alleviate her headache.
Lucid.
Clear and easy to understand.
His lucid explanation helped everyone grasp the concept.
Dissent.
To disagree with or oppose an official view or authority. Several members dissented from the committee's decision.
Prattle.
To talk meaninglessly or foolishly at length.
The child prattled on about her imaginary friend.
Vanguard.
The leaders or pioneers of a movement or field. These artists were in the vanguard of modern art.
Pith.
The essential or central part of something.
Her summary captured the pith of the argument.
Albeit.
Although, even though.
The plan worked, albeit with some difficulties. Raconteur.
A skilled and entertaining storyteller.
The grandfather was a natural raconteur who captivated his grandchildren.
Lissom.
Moving with ease and grace, flexible. The lissom dancer moved effortlessly across the stage. Eschew.
To deliberately avoid or stay away from.
He eschewed social media to focus on his work.
Whereas.
In contrast to, while on the other hand.
John likes coffee, whereas Mary prefers tea.
Confer. To discuss something important, to give or bestow. The managers conferred about the new policy.
Précis.
A brief summary of main points.
She wrote a précis of the lengthy research paper.
Venerate. To respect deeply or regard as holy.
Many cultures venerate their ancestors.
Pervasive. Spreading throughout or present everywhere.
Social media has become a pervasive influence in modern life.
Compendium.
A complete collection of information on a subject.
The book serves as a compendium of medieval history.
Activism.
Taking direct action to achieve political or social change.
Student activism led to changes in campus policies.
Opine.
To express one's opinion.
The critic opined that the film was overrated. Attenuate. To reduce in force, value, or amount.
Distance attenuates radio signals.
Missive.
A written message or letter.
She sent a lengthy missive to explain her decision.
Augury.
A sign of what will happen in the future. The dark clouds were an augury of the coming storm. Panegyric.
A formal speech or writing praising someone.
The eulogy was a moving panegyric to her achievements.
Diurnal. Happening daily or during daytime. Owls are nocturnal, while sparrows are diurnal birds.
Refute.
To prove something is false or incorrect. The scientist refuted the flawed theory with new evidence.
Hackneyed.
Overused and lacking originality.
The movie relied on hackneyed plot twists that everyone saw coming. Torpor.
A state of physical or mental inactivity.
The hot weather induced a state of torpor in the afternoon.
Plutocracy.
A society governed by the wealthy. Some critics argue that modern politics has become a plutocracy. Multifarious.
Having great variety or diversity.
The museum contains multifarious artifacts from ancient civilizations.
Subpoena.
A legal order requiring someone to appear in court.
The witness received a subpoena to testify next week.
Undermine.
To gradually weaken or damage something.
Constant criticism can undermine a person's confidence.
Lethargic.
Lacking energy or enthusiasm.
After the big meal, everyone felt lethargic.
Canonical. Widely accepted as standard or official.
Shakespeare's plays are part of the canonical literature.
Penury.
Severe poverty or lack of resources.
The family lived in penury after losing their business.
Ingratiate.
To deliberately try to gain someone's favor. The new employee tried to ingratiate himself with the boss.
Crescendo.
A gradual increase in intensity or volume. The music reached a dramatic crescendo in the final movement.
Disquieting.
Causing worry or uneasiness.
The strange noises at night were disquieting.
Naive.
Showing lack of experience or wisdom.
It was naive to think the problem would solve itself.
Quandary.
A state of uncertainty or confusion.
She was in a quandary about which job offer to accept. Anarchy.
A state of disorder due to lack of authority.
When the government fell, the country descended into anarchy.
Impecunious. Having little or no money.
The impecunious artist could barely afford art supplies.
Oscillate.
To move back and forth or waver between options.
The fan oscillated to cool the entire room.
Discrete.
Individually separate and distinct.
The project was broken down into discrete tasks.
Discomfiting.
Making someone feel uneasy or embarrassed.
His direct stare was discomfiting. Cynical.
Believing people are motivated purely by self-interest. Years of setbacks had made him cynical about relationships.
Didactic. Intended to teach or instruct.
The story had a clear didactic message about honesty.
Redound. To have a resulting effect or consequence. His hard work redounded to the benefit of the whole team.
Gradation.
A series of gradual changes or stages.
The sunset showed beautiful gradations of color.
Stingy.
Unwilling to spend or share. Despite his wealth, he was stingy with charitable donations.
Epicure.
Someone who appreciates fine food and drink.
As an epicure, he only dined at the finest restaurants.
Furtive.
Attempting to avoid attention, secretive.
He cast furtive glances around before entering the building.
Cogent.
Clear, logical, and convincing.
She presented a cogent argument for the new policy.
Stolid.
Showing little or no emotion.
The guard maintained a stolid expression throughout the ceremony.
Vituperate.
To harshly criticize or scold.
The coach vituperated the team for their poor performance.
Acerbic.
Sharp and harsh in tone or manner.
The critic was known for his acerbic reviews.
Cardinal.
Of primary importance, fundamental.
Following safety protocols is a cardinal rule in the laboratory.
Mercurial.
Subject to sudden changes in mood.
Her mercurial temperament made her difficult to work with.
Torrid.
Extremely hot or passionate. The desert's torrid climate made travel difficult.
Solecism.
A grammatical mistake or breach of etiquette.
Using the wrong form of there is a common solecism.
Sybarite.
A person who loves luxury and self-indulgence.
The wealthy Sybarite spent fortunes on rare wines and delicacies.
Denigrate.
To unfairly criticize or damage someone's reputation. She refused to denigrate her opponents during the campaign.
Disparage.
To speak of something or someone in a negative, belittling way.
A good leader doesn't disparage team members' efforts.
Exonerate.
To declare someone innocent of blame or wrongdoing.
New evidence helped exonerate the wrongly accused man. Prohibitive.
So expensive or difficult that it prevents something from happening.
The prohibitive cost of housing forced them to look elsewhere. Soporific. Causing or tending to cause sleep. The professor's monotone lecture had a soporific effect on students.
Idiosyncrasy.
A unique behavioral habit or characteristic of a person.
His habit of organizing books by color was an odd idiosyncrasy.
Converge.
To come together at a single point or merge.
The two rivers converge at the city center. Prevaricate.
To avoid telling the truth by being deliberately vague.
When asked about the incident, he prevaricated instead of answering directly.
Jingoism.
Extreme patriotism, especially favoring aggressive foreign policy.
The newspaper was criticized for promoting jingoism during wartime.
Austere.
Plain, strict, and without comfort or luxury.
The monastery followed an austere lifestyle. Divine. To discover or predict through supernatural means.
Ancient priests would divine the future by reading omens.
Reprobate. A morally corrupt or unprincipled person.
The reprobate gambled away his family's savings.
Dubious.
Doubtful or questionable.
We were dubious about his claims of success.
Eccentric. Unusual or odd in behavior or appearance.
The eccentric artist wore mismatched socks and neon clothes.
Monotony.
Boring lack of variety or change.
The monotony of the daily commute made him seek a new job. Veracity.
Truthfulness or accuracy.
The veracity of his story was confirmed by witnesses. Bang. Making a deep, prolonged howling sound.
The wolves were baying at the full moon.
Plummet.
To fall or drop straight down rapidly.
Stock prices plummeted after the bad news.
Lull. A temporary period of calm or quiet.
There was a brief lull in the storm.
Livid.
Extremely angry.
He was livid when he discovered the theft.
Arduous.
Requiring great effort or labor, difficult.
The arduous climb to the summit tested their endurance.
Neophyte.
A beginner or newcomer to an activity.
The neophyte programmer asked many basic questions. Repast.
A meal or the time taken to eat it. They enjoyed a pleasant repast in the garden. Pristine.
In perfect, original condition.
The antique car was kept in pristine condition.
Timely.
Done or occurring at the right time.
His timely intervention prevented an accident.
Molt.
To shed old feathers, skin, or shell.
Snakes molt their skin several times a year.
Document.
To record or prove with evidence.
Scientists carefully documented each stage of the experiment. Ameliorate.
To make something bad or unsatisfactory better.
The new policies helped ameliorate working conditions.
Bifurcate.
To split or divide into two branches.
The path bifurcates at the old oak tree.
Fallacious.
Based on false reasoning or misleading arguments.
His fallacious conclusion ignored important evidence. Affectation.
Artificial or pretentious behavior.
Her British accent was a mere affectation.
Permeate.
To spread throughout something.
The smell of fresh coffee permeated the house.
Saturate. To completely soak or fill something.
The heavy rain saturated the soil.
Grouse.
To complain or grumble.
He spent the entire meeting grousing about the new policy.
Fulminate. To express fierce protest or criticism.
The critic fulminated against the poor service.
Itinerary.
A planned route or schedule for a journey.
The travel agent prepared a detailed itinerary.
Emulate.
To try to equal or surpass by imitation.
Young players often emulate their sports heroes.
Salubrious.
Health-giving or promoting good health.
The mountain air was salubrious for the patients.
Fallow.
Inactive or unused.
The field lay fallow for a season to restore fertility.
Meticulous.
Extremely careful and precise about details.
The watchmaker was meticulous in assembling the tiny gears.
Unsparing.
Generous and abundant, or harsh and severe.
She was unsparing in both her praise and criticism.
Reproach.
To express disappointment or criticism, blame or disgrace.
The teacher reproached the student for not completing homework.
Nettle.
To irritate or annoy someone.
His constant interruptions nettled everyone in the meeting.
Diverge.
To move or extend in different directions, to differ.
Their opinions diverged on how to solve the problem.
Erudite.
Having or showing extensive knowledge from study.
The erudite professor could discuss any topic in detail.
Ostensible. Appearing to be true but possibly false or misleading.
The ostensible reason for his absence was illness.
Slack.
Not tightly fastened, lacking in effort or care.
Business was slack during the off-season.
Impermeable.
Not allowing liquid or gas to pass through.
The raincoat was made of impermeable material.
Conciliatory.
Intended to calm anger or end an argument.
She made a conciliatory gesture by apologizing first.
Tangential.
Only slightly related to the main topic.
His comments were tangential to the discussion.
Bureaucracy. A system of government with many complex rules and procedures.
Getting a permit required navigating through layers of bureaucracy.
Peddle.
To sell goods or spread information, often in a questionable way.
Street vendors peddled souvenirs to tourists. Skeptic.
Someone who questions accepted beliefs or claims. The skeptic demanded proof before believing the story.
Inter.
To place a dead body in a grave or tomb.
The king was interred in the royal cemetery.
Incendiary.
Causing or capable of causing fire, provoking conflict.
The speaker's incendiary remarks sparked protests.
Concede.
To admit something is true, to surrender or give up.
The candidate conceded defeat in the election.
Precipitate.
To cause something to happen suddenly or prematurely.
The announcement precipitated a crisis.
Spearhead.
To lead an attack, movement, or initiative. She spearheaded the campaign for environmental protection.
Precarious.
Unstable or dangerous, likely to fall or collapse.
The mountain path was precarious after the rainfall.
Tone.
A large, heavy book, especially a scholarly one.
The ancient tome contained valuable historical records.
Hotly. With intense emotion or energy.
The issue was hotly debated in Parliament.
Jettison.
To throw away or abandon something unwanted.
The airline jettisoned its unprofitable routes.
Implacable.
Impossible to please or make peaceful, relentless.
He was an implacable enemy who never forgave. Ingrate.
A person who shows no gratitude.
After all their help, he proved to be an ingrate. Orotund.
Full and strong in sound, pompous in style.
The politician's orotund speech failed to impress.
Sinecure.
A position requiring little work for the salary paid.
The advisory role was essentially a sinecure.
Cloying.
Excessively sweet or sentimental. The dessert was too cloying to finish. Archaic.
Very old or old-fashioned. The document contained archaic words no longer in use.
Abyss. A deep, immeasurable void or space.
The submarine descended into the ocean's abyss.
Intrepid.
Fearless and adventurous.
The intrepid explorer ventured into unknown territory.
Fathom.
To understand fully, to measure water depth. I couldn't fathom why he made that decision.
Aloof. Emotionally distant and reserved.
She remained aloof from her coworkers.
Proliferate.
To multiply or spread rapidly.
Social media platforms have proliferated in recent years.
Nevertheless.
In spite of that, however.
The task was difficult, nevertheless, they persisted.
Notoriety.
Fame for something bad or unfavorable. The scandal brought him unwanted notoriety.
Pretentious.
Trying to appear more important or sophisticated than reality.
His pretentious manner annoyed his colleagues. Encomium.
High praise or formal tribute.
The retiring professor received many encomiums.
Echelon.
A level of authority or responsibility in an organization.
She reached the highest echelon of management.
Inveigle.
To persuade through deception or flattery.
He tried to inveigle his way into the exclusive club.
Pair.
To cut away the outer parts, to reduce. We need to pare expenses to meet the budget.
Inasmuch. Because, given that.
Inasmuch as you helped us, we'll help you.
Somatic. Relating to the physical body.
The patient showed somatic symptoms of stress.
Liberal.
Open to new ideas, generous, favoring individual rights.
The college has a liberal arts curriculum.
Pathological.
Related to disease, compulsively abnormal.
His pathological lying destroyed all trust.
Elated.
Extremely happy and excited.
She was elated after winning the competition.
Interregnum. A period between rulers or governments.
The country faced chaos during the interregnum.
Eminent.
Well known and respected, distinguished.
An eminent scientist gave the keynote address.
Primacy.
The state of being first in importance.
The company maintained its primacy in the market.
Sanction.
Official approval, or a penalty for disobedience. The project received government sanction.
Rue. To feel deep regret or remorse.
He would rue the day he made that decision.
Pellucid.
Crystal clear, easy to understand. Her pellucid explanation helped everyone understand.
Trenchant.
Sharp, forceful, and effective.
The critic made trenchant observations about the film.
Fervid.
Intensely enthusiastic or passionate. The speaker gave a fervid speech about justice.
Spectrum.
A complete range of related qualities or elements. The debate covered the full spectrum of opinions.
Appropriate.
To take for one's use, to allocate.
The committee appropriated funds for the project.
Outstrip.
To surpass or exceed. The company's growth outstripped all expectations.
Insipid.
Lacking flavor or interest, dull.
The soup was bland and insipid.
Puerile.
Childishly silly or immature.
His puerile jokes annoyed the audience. Transitory.
Lasting only a short time.
Fame can be transitory.
Parry.
To ward off or evade. The politician parried difficult questions skillfully.
Convoluted.
Complex and difficult to follow.
The plot was too convoluted to understand.
Dispassionate.
Not influenced by emotion, objective.
The judge maintained a dispassionate view of the case.
Inure.
To become accustomed to something unpleasant.
Soldiers become inured to hardship.
Unconscionable.
Unreasonably excessive, morally wrong.
The price increase was unconscionable.
Daunt.
To make someone feel intimidated or afraid.
The challenge didn't daunt her determination.
Burgeon.
To grow or develop rapidly. The tech industry continues to burgeon.
Droll.
Amusingly odd or whimsical.
His droll sense of humor made everyone laugh.
Contraries.
Things that are opposite or opposed.
Light and darkness are contraries.
Flout.
To openly disregard rules or conventions.
He flouted school regulations by smoking.
Skirt.
To go around or avoid.
The hikers skirted the dangerous marsh.
Dogma.
A set of beliefs stated as absolute truth.
The church's dogma remained unchanged.
Resolution.
A firm decision, solution to a problem.
She made a resolution to exercise daily.
Distaff.
Relating to women or maternal lineage. The property passed through the distaff line. Inordinate.
Exceeding reasonable limits, excessive. He spent an inordinate amount of time on the project.
Apposite.
Very appropriate and relevant.
Her apposite remarks addressed everyone's concerns. Solidarity.
Unity of purpose or agreement among people.
Workers showed solidarity during the strike.
Engender.
To cause or give rise to. The policy engendered much debate.
Buffer.
Something that reduces shock or impact. Trees act as a buffer against wind.
Egress. A way to exit, act of leaving. The emergency egress was clearly marked.
Expurgate. To remove offensive content.
The book was expurgated for young readers.
Wizened. Shriveled and wrinkled with age. The wizened apple had been forgotten in the drawer.
Levity.
Lack of seriousness, light-hearted humor.
The tense meeting needed some levity.
Amalgamate.
To combine or unite.
The two companies amalgamated into one.
Complacent.
Self-satisfied and unconcerned.
Success made them complacent about competition.
Illicit.
To draw out or bring forth.
The question elicited an interesting response.
Deride. To mock or ridicule.
Critics derided his unconventional ideas. Counterproductive. Having an opposite effect to what is intended.
The new rule proved counterproductive.
Euphemism.
A mild word substituted for a harsh one.
Passed away is a euphemism for died.
Germane.
Relevant and appropriate.
His comments were germane to the discussion.
Polarized.
Divided into opposing groups.
The debate left voters highly polarized.
Bygone.
Belonging to a past time.
She reminisced about bygone days.
Indolent.
Habitually lazy and inactive.
The indolent student rarely completed assignments.
Officious.
Intrusively eager to help or advise.
The officious clerk kept interrupting. Prodigal.
Wastefully extravagant. The prodigal heir squandered his inheritance.
Offhand.
Casual and informal, without preparation.
He made an offhand remark about the weather.
Diffident.
Lacking confidence, shy.
The diffident student rarely spoke in class.
Pungent.
Having a strong, sharp taste or smell. The pungent spices filled the kitchen.
Vintage.
Of high quality from an earlier period.
She collects vintage clothing.
Erstwhile.
Former, belonging to a previous time.
The erstwhile allies became competitors.
Impair.
To damage or weaken.
Lack of sleep can impair judgment. Refulgent. Brightly shining, radiant.
The refulgent sun lit up the morning sky.
Cosmopolitan.
Having a global perspective and being comfortable in different cultures.
Living in many countries made her truly cosmopolitan in her outlook.
Peregrinate.
To travel or wander from place to place.
The nomads peregrinate across the desert in search of water.
Verdant.
Lush and green with vegetation also means inexperienced.
After the spring rains, the hills became verdant with new growth.
Mendacious.
Dishonest and prone to lying.
The mendacious salesman made false promises about the product.
Desiccate.
To remove moisture completely, to dry out thoroughly.
The hot sun desiccated the fallen leaves. Pastiche.
A work that imitates and combines elements from other works.
The film was a pastiche of classic horror movies.
Dilate.
To become or make wider also means to speak at length.
Her eyes dilated in the darkness.
Immutable.
Unable to be changed. The laws of physics are immutable.
Exacting. Demanding high standards and great attention to detail. The exacting chef insisted on perfect presentation.
Insinuate.
To suggest or hint at something indirectly.
His comments insinuated that someone was lying.
Besiege.
To surround and attack from all sides.
The army besieged the castle for months.
Nominal.
Existing in name only, very small or insignificant.
He had nominal control over the project, but no real authority.
Recondite.
Complex and difficult to understand, known by few.
The professor's recondite theories confused most students.
Ossify.
To become rigid and fixed in attitude or structure. The company's policies had ossified over decades.
Anoint.
To ceremonially apply oil, often as a sacred ritual. The priest anointed the new king with holy oil.
Digress.
To stray from the main topic in speaking or writing.
The lecturer kept digressing from the main subject. Ostentatious.
Showy and designed to impress, flashy. The mansion's ostentatious decor reflected the owner's wealth.
Incongruous.
Not fitting in, out of place. The modern building looked incongruous among historic houses.
Cosset.
To treat with excessive care and attention.
The grandmother cosset her only grandchild.
Meretricious.
Falsely attractive, deceptively appealing.
The film's meretricious special effects couldn't hide its weak plot. Prologue.
An introduction that comes before the main part.
The book's prologue set up the historical context.
Effigy.
A model or image of a person, often used in protest.
Protesters burned an effigy of the dictator.
Lumber.
To move heavily and clumsily.
The injured bear lumbered through the forest.
Lavish. Very generous or abundant, extravagant.
The host prepared a lavish feast for the guests.
Perfunctory.
Done without care or interest, mechanical.
He gave the report a perfunctory glance.
Unprecedented.
Never having happened or existed before.
The discovery was unprecedented in medical history.
Querulous.
Constantly complaining, whining.
The querulous patient demanded constant attention.
Abrasive.
Harsh and irritating in manner or texture.
His abrasive personality made him few friends.
Profuse.
Abundant, given or flowing freely.
She offered profuse apologies for her mistake.
Intransigent.
Refusing to change one's views or compromise.
The intransigent politician blocked all reform efforts.
Canard. A false rumor or story deliberately spread.
The news article turned out to be a canard spread by his opponents.
Debase.
To reduce in quality, value, or character.
The scandal debased his reputation in the community.
Ersatz.
Artificial and inferior substitute for something genuine.
The ersatz coffee didn't taste anything like real coffee.
Husband.
To use resources carefully and economically.
During the drought, farmers had to husband their water supplies.
Via.
By way of, through.
We traveled to Paris via London.
Monastic.
Simple and disciplined, like life in a monastery.
He lived a monastic lifestyle, focused only on work and study. Synchronous.
Occurring or moving at the same time.
The dancer's synchronous movements impressed the audience.
Terse. Brief and direct, sometimes to the point of rudeness.
His terse reply made it clear he was annoyed.
Virtual. Existing in effect, but not in actual fact or form.
The pandemic forced a shift to virtual meetings.
Palatial.
Resembling a palace in size and luxury.
The celebrity's palatial mansion had 20 rooms.
Upbraid.
To scold or criticize severely.
The teacher upbraided the student for cheating on the test.
Wanton. Reckless and without regard for consequences.
The vandals caused wanton destruction to the building. Supplicate.
To ask for something humbly and earnestly.
The prisoner supplicated the judge for mercy. Irresolute.
Uncertain how to act, hesitant.
The irresolute leader couldn't make a clear decision.
Tenuous.
Thin, weak, or insubstantial. The evidence supporting his theory was tenuous at best.
Obstinate.
Stubbornly refusing to change.
The obstinate child refused to eat his vegetables.
Lax.
Not strict or careful enough.
The security at the building was too lax.
Brandish.
To wave or display something, especially a weapon, in a threatening way.
The robber brandished a knife at the clerk.
Malleable.
Easily shaped or influenced.
Young minds are malleable and open to new ideas. Censure.
Strong official disapproval or criticism.
The politician faced censure for his unethical behavior.
Impute.
To attribute or assign blame or responsibility.
The media imputed the economic crisis to poor government policies.
Occult. Supernatural or mystical matters.
She had a deep interest in occult practices like astrology.
Doff.
To remove, especially clothing or a hat. He doffed his hat as a sign of respect.
Candid.
Honest and straightforward.
She gave a candid assessment of the company's problems. Contumacious.
Stubbornly disobedient and rebellious.
The contumacious student refused to follow any school rules.
Futile.
Pointless or ineffective, producing no useful result. Their attempts to fix the broken machine proved futile.
Penitent. Feeling sincere regret for wrongdoing.
The penitent thief confessed and returned the stolen goods.
Coffer.
A strong box for storing money or valuables.
The ancient coffer contained gold coins and jewels.
Panache.
Distinctive and stylish elegance.
The actor performed with remarkable panache.
Homogeneous.
Uniform in nature or composition throughout. The mixture was completely homogeneous, with no visible layers.
Simultaneous.
Occurring or existing at the same time. The two explosions were simultaneous.
Circumscribe.
To restrict or limit something.
The new rules circumscribed the company's activities.
Placid.
Calm and peaceful, undisturbed.
The lake's placid surface reflected the mountains perfectly.
Apostle.
A passionate advocate or pioneer of an idea or cause.
She became an apostle of environmental conservation.
Hierarchy.
A system of ranking and organizing things or people.
The corporate hierarchy had 5 management levels. Mundane.
Ordinary, routine, or unremarkable.
He was tired of his mundane office job.
Savor.
To enjoy or appreciate something fully.
She paused to savor the beautiful sunset.
Strut.
A supporting beam or bar used to strengthen a structure.
The bridge was reinforced with steel struts.
Offset.
To counterbalance or compensate for something.
The cost savings offset the initial investment.
Spate.
A sudden rush or outburst of something.
The city experienced a spate of robberies.
Investiture. The formal ceremony of conferring a title or power.
The king's investiture ceremony was broadcast nationwide. Anachronism.
Something out of its proper historical time period. A smartphone in a medieval painting would be an anachronism.
Consolidate.
To combine or unite into a single unit.
The company consolidated its 3 offices into one location.
Verbose.
Using more words than needed, wordy.
The verbose report could have been much shorter. Pernicious.
Causing serious harm or destruction.
The pernicious effects of the drug damaged many lives.
Artless.
Natural and sincere also means lacking skill or sophistication. Her artless charm made everyone feel comfortable.
Hermetic.
Completely sealed also means isolated from outside influence.
The jar had a hermetic seal to keep the contents fresh.
Gregarious.
Enjoying the company of others, very social.
The gregarious host made everyone feel welcome at the party.
Frugal.
Careful with money, economical.
His frugal lifestyle allowed him to save for retirement.
Coterie.
A small group of people with shared interests.
The artist belonged to a coterie of avant-garde painters. Ethos.
The guiding beliefs or ideals of a group or culture.
Hard work and innovation were central to the company's ethos.
Disabuse.
To correct a false belief or impression.
The teacher tried to disabuse students of common misconceptions.
Invective.
Harsh, angry criticism or insults.
The debate devolved into personal invective.
Credulous.
Too quick to believe things, easily fooled.
Scammers often target credulous elderly people.
Proscribe. To forbid or ban officially.
The school prescribed the use of cell phones in classrooms.
Pathogenic.
Causing disease. Scientists identified the pathogenic bacteria causing the illness.
Duplicity.
Deliberate deception, two-faced behavior.
His duplicity was revealed when his lies came to light.
Aesthetic.
Related to beauty or artistic taste.
The building's aesthetic appeal drew many photographers.
Abhor.
To hate strongly, find repulsive.
She abhorred violence in any form. Ignoble. Dishonorable, morally low.
His ignoble actions brought shame to his family. Propagate. to spread or multiply.
The news propagated quickly through social media.
Pious.
Deeply religious, devoted.
The pious monk spent hours in prayer each day.
Hardy.
Strong and able to endure difficult conditions.
These hardy plants can survive harsh winters.
Predisposed.
Naturally inclined or susceptible to something.
She was predisposed to like classical music from an early age.
Subjective.
Based on personal feelings or opinions rather than facts.
Art appreciation is highly subjective.
Dirge.
A sad song or poem for the dead.
The choir sang a mournful dirge at the funeral.
Likewise. In the same way, also.
She helped me, and I likewise helped her.
Ardent.
Very enthusiastic or passionate.
He was an ardent supporter of environmental causes.
Surmise.
To guess based on limited evidence.
From his expression, I surmised he had bad news.
Implicit.
Implied but not directly stated.
Her silence gave implicit consent to the plan.
Castigate.
To criticize or punish severely.
The manager castigated the team for their poor performance.
Analogous.
Similar in some way, comparable.
The brain's function is analogous to a computer's processing.
Pulchritude.
Physical beauty.
The model's pulchritude earned her many contracts.
Net.
Remaining after deductions, final result.
The company's net profit increased this year.
Welter.
A confused mass, state of confusion.
The office was in a welter of papers and files.
Maudlin.
Overly emotional in a silly way.
The drunk became maudlin and started crying about his childhood. Volatile.
Unstable, likely to change suddenly.
The stock market was volatile that week.
Maxim.
A short statement expressing a general truth.
Actions speak louder than words is a common maxim.
Faction.
A small group within a larger group, often causing conflict.
The political party split into competing factions.
Debunk.
To expose something as false or exaggerated.
The scientist debunked popular myths about diet fads. Skittish.
Easily frightened or nervous.
The skittish horse was startled by sudden noises.
Explicit.
Clearly and directly stated.
The teacher gave explicit instructions for the assignment. Bombastic.
Using unnecessarily grand or showy language. The politician's bombastic speech failed to impress voters.
Reap.
To gather or receive as a result. She reaped the benefits of her hard work.
Seraphic.
Pure and peaceful like an angel.
The sleeping child had a seraphic expression.
Aspersions.
False or damaging statements.
He cast aspersions on his rival's character.
Abscond.
To leave secretly and quickly.
The thief absconded with the stolen jewels.
Eloquent.
Expressing ideas clearly and powerfully.
Her eloquent speech moved the audience to tears. Egalitarian.
Believing in equal rights for all.
The school promoted egalitarian values.
Sap.
To gradually weaken or drain.
The long illness sapped his strength.
Stoic.
Showing little emotion or complaint in hardship.
He remained stoic despite his painful injury.
Capricious.
Unpredictable, changing suddenly. Her capricious mood swings confused her friends.
Viscous.
Thick and sticky.
Honey is more viscous than water.
Paragon.
A perfect example of something.
She was considered a paragon of virtue.
Steeped.
Thoroughly soaked or filled with.
He was steeped in classical literature from childhood. Obsolete. No longer in use, outdated. The old computer system became obsolete.
Militate.
To have a strong effect, usually against something.
The evidence militated against his theory.
Judicious.
Having good judgment, wise.
She made judicious investments with her savings. Qualified. Having necessary skills also means limited or modified.
She was highly qualified for the position.
Xenophobia.
Fear or hatred of foreigners. The politician's xenophobia alienated many voters.
Dictum.
An official or authoritative statement.
The judge's dictum became a legal precedent.
Illiberality. Lack of generosity, narrow-mindedness. His illiberality made him few friends.
Vernal.
Related to spring, fresh and young.
Flowers bloomed in the vernal sunshine.
Paradox.
A statement that seems contradictory but may be true.
Less is more is a famous paradox.